This conference will now be recorded.
All right, it is Monday, December 14th at 5:33 p.m. I am calling this Finance Committee meeting to order. I have with me Sally O'Rourke, Lori Morgan.
Sally O'Rourke.
Sorry, Julie O'Rourke. It's been a long day already. Sally Bennett and Lori Morgan. We'll do a roll call just to prove that everyone's here. Julie O'Rourke,
Here.
Lori Morgan.
Here.
And Jeremy Graham is here as well. I am located here in the Village Hall per the orders to have a remote meeting. All right. So the first one here is the approval of the November 30th minutes. Sally had sent that one out at 5:02.
I think I sent them out a week ago.
Yes, I believe you did. Yes, it was like the day after the meeting or the same day of the meeting.
Yeah.
Yes. I did not. The only issue that I had on it is unless sergeant is spelled incorrectly, unless that's how they spell it for the police force. So that was my only question. Because it's not the same way they spell sergeant in the Army, but it's not saying it.
Gotcha.
It's wrong. So that's the only thing. Otherwise, everything else looked great. I didn't see any issues at all on
I'll find out. I'll just go to the source.
it. Well, if they pop in, I'll ask
Where's
them.
Sergeant? Where? I don't even see. Oh, here it is. Yeah,
On
it is
the first
misspelled.
bullet.
Yeah, it's misspelled. It's the way you would think. And yeah, it's misspelled. At least that's the way I've been corresponding with Jeff White on everything. So.
Okay, so it should be Sergeant, right? Serge.
And it doesn't look right that way, but it is that right.
Well,
it doesn't sound like it should be spelled that way. Let's leave it at that.
Doesn't look right this way either. It's a weird word, but
It's very weird. You gotta love the English language, right?
Yeah.
yes.
But I mean, otherwise it looked real well. I didn't see any issues with it. All right, we'll do a roll call vote for that. They did a lot of roll call votes at Public Works, so I don't know if we're supposed to be doing that or not. So we're gonna just do it anyway, just in case. Lori Morgan?
Do we have to have a motion to approve the minutes, or can we just vote?
Yep, that's probably true.
So I'll move to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
All right. And now is the roll call vote. I was getting ahead of myself. So, Lori Morgan?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And Jeremy says yes as well. All right, that is approved. Any disclosures of conflict of interest? Hearing none, moving on. Number 3 is public comment, and there is nobody else on the, what is this, go-to meetings, and there's nobody else in the village hall. So moving on to number 4. As of our updates, anything new and exciting?
No, I haven't heard from them.
All right. Moving on to number 5 then for the budget, our cure expenses. I heard that we've gotten approved for great things. We've gotten lots of money already.
I just went and looked prior to this meeting, and all of the ones that are outstanding are marked with the quotation submitted for payment. So I expect that to be in within the next week. That's been the typical turnaround.
Outstanding. And I had talked to Sally the other day about this. All of this revenue, this reimbursement that we've been getting, some of it has been expected, and that's why we purchased the things beforehand. For example, the front office, the computers that we're purchasing. Some of the reimbursement we didn't necessarily expect at the beginning, for example, the police salaries. So as we do come into next year, that is something we want to think about. What do we want to do with this? Do we want to just put in reserves? That's just something, it doesn't have to be an answer right now, but just something to think of that extra revenue that we weren't expecting.
Yeah, I think one thing we're going to want to consider is that 1.3 versus $1.6 million O&M debt that we've been talking about. So can some of it go, or all of it go toward that? That'll just, you know, as we work our way through the budget, we'll have to figure that out, I guess.
Absolutely. The next one here is meeting with the department leaders. I assume that was from my previous here. I have not heard, after talking with everybody, I've not heard anything that, we need to get this thing now. We've been pushing it off later and later, and this is it. We have to have it this year. So I think we're just going to continue to move forward on that.
Okay.
And just get normal, continue at normal operations, and that'll be it.
So you want me to take that off of the agenda?
Yes, please.
I didn't really know where we landed on that, so I left it on, but I will remove it.
Yep, not a problem at all. And now that I've got the Word copy here too, I'll be able to, what is today, Monday? Yeah, for future. Moving on to budget 2021. So we've got our next meeting is set for Wednesday at 5:30, this Wednesday. And my understanding is that we're going to try to meet in person again, if that works for everybody, and or call in if it didn't work for anybody else. Is everybody still good with that meeting?
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
good with the meeting. I'll be calling in. We've had a lot of positive cases at work, and I've been in the office, and I just I'm not comfortable going out of my little bubble.
Nope,
We
not
appreciate that, Lori.
You're welcome.
all right. And so we can dive deep into the budget 2021 then. One question is that for insurance, I know that we put out, well, admin team put out a list of different types of insurance that the employees could choose. And I believe this Friday is the what is it, the 18th, 19th? Something of that
18th.
nature. 18th is the deadline for employees to choose which plan they wanted to go on. There was a large 14% increase using renewing Humana. And so we were trying to avoid that for everybody because that was a large number. So we listed out, I want to say it was 8 different plans that all employees could choose from, and some were PPOs that contained all 3 OSF Mercy Swedes. Some were HMOs that just contained Swedes. Some were HSAs that covered all 3 of them. And so there was lots of different options based off of the employee's preference of which hospital they wanted, what kind of coverage they wanted, if they go to the hospital very often, that kind of, or medical treatment in general. So they got to choose. The current plan is so in the past, it has been 80% of the cost is covered by the village and 20% has been by the employee. What was discussed for this year, for the upcoming year, because obviously we do this every year, is instead of continuing to do 80%, 20%, because people got to choose different options, we were going to get a set amount. And so it was, the amount was,
Now your spreadsheet in the board packet makes sense to me, Jeremy. I'm like, what the heck? All these percentages are different. What is this? Because Mike said, Jeremy did that. Ask him. I said, I'm gonna see him in 5 minutes. I'll ask him. Now it's starting to crystallize.
let me see if I can share my screen to show you here. Where did that little, there it is. Which one, what does this button do? Hovering over and it says nothing. How about this one?
It's what you have in the board packet for tonight, right?
Yes. No one can share your screen. Click to start screen sharing. Okay. And start screen sharing. Do you guys see the colorful Excel sheet?
No.
But I'm not sure what screen I'm sharing. It didn't give me an option here. Screen share. Go. Oh, here we go. It's asking for my password to allow it to share. Go to meetings. Okay, fine, fair enough. I can't do it now. I'll do it later. All right. So the next time we have a meeting, it'll all be set up to share my screen. But otherwise, it is a very fancy, it's not really fancy, but it is very colorful Excel spreadsheet. On the left-hand side is it's just the same thing repeated multiple times here. I'm going to turn off my screen share thing since it doesn't matter. And that is what they're currently paying. So there are 4 different options. There's employee only, employee with child, employee with spouse, and family. Okay. And it shows on here, and it's just again repeated multiple times, so you can compare it right next to what the possible option is, what the village is currently paying, what the employee is currently paying, and the grand total. Okay. The very top one is the yellow, and that is the Humana renewal, which would have been the most expensive, 14% for everybody. So then we look through and we offered options 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And there's another document that shows what those are. Option 4 was the cream of the crop. PPO contained all 3 Mercy, OSF, and Swedes. It was everything. That was also the most expensive one. And depending on where you went and what you chose, you might be paying more or less than previously. And afterwards, next to it here is the employee difference from last year to this year. As you can see here, option 3 would save would save the employee money. Option 4 would cost more, and then 5, 6, and 7 would also save money from last year. So not only is there not an increase, but there would be a decrease if they chose that plan. But
So
because it was
Jeremy,
going,
are you saying, I'm sorry, just big picture then, are you saying that the village is leaning toward paying a flat rate for each level of coverage, like employee plus kids, family, and then they could decide how they're gonna buy their insurance, so to speak? By
that
which
is correct.
plan? Okay.
Correct. And then the
And-
top
and then how do
right-hand
we
corner
come-
says village.
How do we come up
And
with
I'll tell
how
you here.
much the village, sorry, my phone's going nuts. How do we decide how much the village was gonna pay?
So the original, you started with the 80% of from this current year. So that's where the 2020 contribution comes in. And this is all located in the top right-hand corner in the, you guys can't, there's nothing up here, but the top right-hand corner, which is in green.
Yeah.
So you had the 2020 contribution. And what they then decided, what we then decided is they took the amount, and Frank can specifically say, but it was basically, they took what our contribution would have been an addition and cut it in half. So if we would have renewed and it would have cost us, say, $20,000 more, okay? Then we took it and said, so there's $10,000 we're willing to give, and then we divided it up by how many employees there would be and how many months that would be, and then it added up to $109.23 additional. Okay, and so that way the village was still absorbing a portion of the increase if you chose to go with an increased plan, but not absorbing the full amount. And so on the total contributions on the little green chart here shows how much the village is willing to pay per employee currently, right? How much the village is currently planning on providing to the employee. And that employee can then take that money and then choose which plan the school's calling. There's another COVID case. The employee can then choose what they want to do with it. So in this case, because of the increase of contribution that the village is doing and the decrease in the overall premium, employees are actually saving money for options 3, 5, 6, and 7. Because of the mixture of both the increase of contributions and the decrease of premium.
Is this a board voted item, or are we talking about this tonight in the board to vote on it, or is it a done deal, or what? Do you know?
I believe we
think you
are
guys
talking
supposed
about.
to vote.
Yes.
Okay.
But that's currently the, because we want to create something to show for everybody to vote on.
No, it makes some sense. Yep. Okay.
And so we wanted to show the employees how much it would cost, and you'll see all the way through, it's a fixed cost there for the village for options 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, how much the village is contributing, and then you just see the additional amount that the employee would have to contribute.
So I've given the sheet with the options to the department heads to give to their people because we have such a short time frame, but I wasn't aware of a change in the, probably because you just haven't voted on it yet, but that information has not been given to any of the employees at this time.
Which information specifically?
The fact that it's changing from an 80/20 payment option to a flat rate.
Okay. And I guess that would be voted upon. For the budget purpose itself, this is going to be less than what we've currently scheduled, because we currently scheduled it as Humana, as a renewal with Humana, as a 14% increase, and this would be smaller than that. So budget-wise, we should be fine.
So I have a question. I'm just trying to follow the math on here. So options 6 and 7, in some cases, are showing that the employee has a credit.
So what happens with that? Are we actually going to pay the employee itself, or is it just going to basically be free?
Well, yeah, I mean, I assume it's just going to be free, but then are we in a situation where some employees are getting more of a benefit than others because those employees are not? So option 6, employee only, that employee is getting shorted $33.72. I don't know the answer. I'm just asking the question. Is that a, equal treatment issue? I don't know.
So that is obviously something that will be discussed tonight. The other side of that is option 6 that one is a HSA and HSA. So there's going to be higher deductibles, things of that nature. So while that employee might not actually pay any premiums at all, they would end up paying a higher deduction when they go. So it would theoretically even out at the end, but that is something that, again,
Okay.
we'll just tonight is what the employee wants. So if they're like, hey, I never get medical care anyway, it's nice to have the insurance, but I never really go. I would rather not have to pay a premium and then deal with the higher deduction when that time comes.
That is a great question though, Lori, and I don't know if those both, Jeremy, I don't know, 6 and 7, if they're both high deductible plans, then we could pay $33.72 a month toward an HSA deposit, just
Correct.
to make it equal.
Absolutely, and that has been discussed as well.
That's a good idea.
In addition to, because also with the insurance plans, and this is what we've always done before, the current Humana, it's a $2,000 deductible. And Sally, correct me if I'm wrong here on these actual numbers. My understanding is the employee of the 2,000, the employee pays 1,000, and once that is they pay the 1,000, the village will pay the other 1,000.
That's right.
Okay, and that is still going to remain again pending vote, right? That would still remain in effect, and there was also a discussion of paying an additional possible 1,000 instead of paying the employee the 33 a month, which might be a better idea. There was discussion of the HSA plans. They would pay an additional 1,000 for that deductible.
Okay, but each of these plans has a different deductible amount, it looks like.
That is correct.
Okay, so it doesn't
That is
matter.
correct.
We're still talking about covering maybe 1,000 of each of them, regardless if it's a $2,000 or a $6,000 deductible.
Correct. And then for the incentive of the choosing the HSAs would be maybe we'll cover an additional 1,000 if you choose the HSA. It could be that additional $33 a month that we aren't spending. You get either in a lump sum or you get per month to go into an HSA to help pay for that as well.
Well, to Lori's fairness
HSA
issue, I don't think we can offer them more because they picked a certain plan.
It is saving the village money though. If the village was willing to pay, I don't know. We'd have to discuss it tonight.
Yeah, okay. I like the big picture here, at least the view. At least I understand it better now.
But based off of if this does get approved and this is what the village is paying, we would be able to take this information for the budget regardless of which plan people picked.
So Jeremy, what kind of an increase would it be to the village on all these numbers? Do you know?
I want to say it was 11%, but I'm not 100% sure. Frank has those numbers. I don't have them written down in front of me. I was making the spreadsheet when they were saying the numbers.
Yeah, okay. I'm just curious because the village, the light green to the yellow, the very first 2020 Humana, that's a difference of 18% on the village cost for an employee right there. So that's what made me ask the question.
Correct, and that's what we wanted to avoid, because then it's a huge increase for everybody. So we wanted to avoid that one, especially if everybody, and that's why we had a vote, and again, they'll discuss it tonight.
Yeah.
If everybody wanted to have all three options still, OSF, Swedes, and Mercy, then, Humana would be the best choice. But there's a lot of people who are willing, hey, you know what, I was willing to only get two options to save money. I never go to the third option anyway. And so instead of forcing everyone to pay them more, if we can spread it out and you can choose a plan that's more appropriate for you, and it saves everybody money in the long run. Well, so that is the general idea of the insurance. But right now in the budget, we've budgeted for a 14% increase of budget of insurance. So anything less than that, or even up to that, we're doing fine.
Nice.
All right. Otherwise, for 2021 budget, is there anything else that we need before Wednesday?
I think there's going to be some discussions on the board tonight that will impact our conversations, but I think they're going into executive session from what I understand. So I think there'll be more to come.
Okay. Sounds good. We'll reassess that when we get there. Anything else that anyone would like to talk about the budget?
I don't know if you want to talk about the O&M cash payment under the budget 2021, or that's probably the only place we can talk about it.
Yeah, let's do that. Good call. So Sally sent out that email. It was today at 3:40.
So last week I put together this spreadsheet just because I wanted to know the difference between 1.3 million and the payment and the interest versus 1.6. And so I put that going across with $50,000 increments because, I really just didn't know what the board wanted to do. So basically the difference in, so is that the payment? Yeah, the payment difference per year goes up. You can see on that very last line under the box, that's how much it increases with each of the difference. That's the savings. I'm sorry, that's the savings as we pay more of a down payment and then have a lower payment. However, today I wanted to just kind of get an idea of where we are with what we'll have in reserves with everything that's going on in 2021. And so I took the fund balance amount as of November 30th from our cash flow worksheet. And then I subtracted the sinking funds, which that was another thing I wanted to mention is this year I did not put the sinking fund amounts as expenses in the 2020 budget because I was waiting to see what happened with COVID. So
And we would have not put them in the sinking fund anyway because we were going to purchase, correct?
Right, exactly. So basically there would be 2,500 going into the administrative sinking fund, 45,000 each in streets and O&M. So I considered that when I put in the sinking fund minus the purchase for 2021 in O&M.
Hey, Sally,
Then,
can you possibly forward that to me again? I have no idea where it went. It's not in my email anymore. It's not in my trash. I have no idea. where
I can
that
do it right
is.
now for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt. I was just trying to follow
That's
you and I
okay.
couldn't find the
Well,
dumb
if
thing.
you're not following, then we might as well get it to you.
Yep, here we go. Thank you, Jeremy.
Not a problem.
Okay. I'm there.
So then, because we'll need the sinking funds in reserve, that's what we would take out of there. And then I took our budget for 2021 and I put in the revenues, but I subtracted out what we were going to transfer in from reserves. And then I put in the expenses and I subtracted that depreciation number that's just irrelevant anyway to our actual cash.
So when you say you subtracted it, you added it to that then?
Yes.
Okay.
And then, and if you're looking on Excel, you can click on there and or hover and see the math in the cell.
Okay.
And then the 400,000, I looked at this year's budget and it is 1.5 million in O&M. I thought looking at 2021's budget is too weird because there's just too many out of the ordinary things in there. So I just took the number 1.6 million and 25% of that is 400,000 because we do have a general fund balance policy, but I don't know that we wrote in O&M or if we just assumed, but that's why I'm talking to you about this even, because I think that's a legitimate number for our reserves to be 25% of a standard O&M budget. And so when I did all of those things, we had 67,000 left over. It doesn't really give us the 300,000 that we were looking for. So I know that we could talk about this 400,000. I don't know if you think a 1.6 million is overstating. I don't really know.
It's probably not overstating. It could be understating, quite honestly, because aren't our monthly payments going to go up even after this down payment of 1.3 or 1.6? We're still going to have an additional monthly.
That payment is in the budget for 2021 along with the cash.
But what's the 1.6? That would not have included that, right? And
Right.
it would not have included our ongoing monthly additional loan payments, or if we call it a loan, I guess. So like
well, I just beefed up the 1.517 million to 1.6. So technically it does, because that's about a $60,000 payment.
And
okay.
just to confirm, this 1.6 million for the budget that you're putting aside for reserves, that just coincidentally happens to be the same the same number as the down payment we're trying to make?
Yes.
Yes.
Just wanted to make sure. I was like, okay, I don't know how those two relate, but that just happened to be the same. Okay.
If you've ever reconciled, you know that number things come up all the time and you're like, this doesn't seem like it's right, but it is.
Now, does this include the 25% in case we get that MCOE grant? I could be making up those letters entirely.
That 25% match is included in the 2021 budget numbers that are on here.
Okay, so this is after everything is. Sorry, go ahead.
The line, the 2021 revenues has the reserve or the transfer in subtracted out of it, which is the 213,000 that we need for the match is included in the transfer in.
So the 67,000 is all said and done, after paying the 1.3, after saving the 25% to match the grant, after doing the sinking fund and paying for the new equipment, this is all left over. There's a total of 67,000.
Well,
Yes.
467 in total, right, for reserves?
Yes.
Plus so it would be the 400,000, the 131.5, and the 67 would all be in reserves. But the other two numbers are committed.
Okay.
And
And then
that-
the 131.5 is really earmarked.
The 400,000, I guess that's a good question. How much do you think we need in reserves to be in there all the time for our budget? That's what I'm questioning.
Do you remember before we started saving for this huge down payment of the debt, what has our reserve level been, Sally? Do you know? I don't have enough history. I don't know with Jeremy. I can't remember how long you've been on the board, but is 25%, was that what we were before we started really working hard to save, or do you have a feel for that, Sally?
I mean, we've always had high reserves in O&M. This part of the reason why is because of the delay in the construction project for the sewer. That allowed us to build up all those administrative fees that we've been collecting on the water bills.
Mm-hmm.
So a great deal of the reserves we've had since 2012 basically have been a buildup for this. So I really, I don't really have a good feel for, in my time here, we haven't really taken it down, that low.
Okay. Well, and then we've got, I know you and I emailed when you sent this to me. This was great. I thank you for doing this, Sally. It's really helpful to have all these numbers. I think we talked about, we do have that 100,000 thereabouts, I don't know, 120, whatever it is, coming from to cover police salaries, and so that would be extra that, again, the board would have to decide, do we just want to keep that in reserves, or do we want to earmark it to pay, whether we pay 1.4 or 1.5 or something like that. The nice thing about the payment is it's not due till the end of the year, but I know we have to budget something.
And we have to tell them what we want so they can have all the contracts and everything, in a timely manner too.
About like 6-month notice or something, or?
That's what I would think. I would totally be on board for that 100,000 from the CURE grant to go toward our debt. I mean, we've talked about, I actually went and read the fund balance policy, and it says that if we're over 30% in our general fund budget, that we would consider using it for debt. So we actually decided that.
Well, that was general fund, not O&M, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. General fund can go to O&M debt, so.
But, you could argue this either way, because if you think about that 1.6 million and you look at the payment, we're saving $17,000 a year, but it costs us $300,000, now.
Mhm.
So, I mean, it's, in the scheme of things, that's really not that much for the risk that we could be taking.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we can. So how much are we getting back from cures for the police?
The CURE grant was 127,926. Some of that we've already spent. We paid that 5,000 to for the front office, and we currently, I don't have the total numbers, but Kelly has ordered the electronics for the boardroom. There's a big TV and some recording equipment. So I know we'll probably need some for that. You know, just so that we're not trying to scrape in our current budget for that. But any of the police salaries, I mean, that we were going to spend anyway, so it, you know, we're really not out anything in that regard.
Right.
Now, would it be, I don't, what is the number for the back taxes on roughly? Does anybody remember if we were to go with the,
Back
I thought we
taxes.
threw a number in the budget for that, Jeremy, didn't we, under community development or something? Isn't that what we were talking about?
for the legal case that we're in right now?
Right, I thought we had a number in
Oh,
community development. We said we would earmark it for that purpose, but I don't even know what I did.
was
with
that like 20,000?
That's what I'm thinking. So in my head, right, just spitballing here, the 127, we take 100,000 toward this, and then the other 27,000 would cover the property tax, the front office, and the electronics. So obviously, you know, just straight easy numbers. We add 100,000 to this, that would put us at a 14. And if we took of the 67, we took another 50, would be 1450. We'd still have a little more than 25% reserves, and we would save approximately 10,000, 9,000 a year. I lost you guys. There you are. That's just a quick spitballing idea for that.
So I guess this gets into, you're on Public Works too, Jeremy. Once we get reserves down this low, do we run into problems with future projects that need to get done on roads and things like that if the reserves get too low? And then maybe that's a Sally Jeremy question, I'm not sure.
Well, we don't use the O&M fund for roads.
Oh, none at all?
No.
Okay. It's just water and sewer then?
Yes.
Okay.
It has to be earmarked for things of that nature.
Okay,
Yes.
so when
So
would we ever
spring-
get in trouble on that? I'm just trying to think. I mean, yeah, I
Well,
don't know how.
Water main breaks, things of that nature.
yeah, I guess if maybe we need to bring in Chad Insco and just ask him, you know, what is a typical emergency fund for O&M equipment? And will that 400,000 cover it?
Yeah. Okay, sorry, I'm gonna mute you periodically because of my dog.
But yeah, I think we could definitely do that. Just talk to him and see, is that 400,000 enough to have in reserve in case of emergencies, or do we need to increase that? And then that would decide if we leave the extra 67 or we can add it on top. So I'm looking, I mean, a near guarantee here is that we are increasing to 14 based off of the reimbursement money.
I would hope so.
I'm on board for that. I think that's
And I wouldn't want to go
effort.
above,
I think that would be worth it.
yes, I wouldn't want to go above 14.5 because again, we're spending so much up front, and if something happens in the next 20 years, it'd be nice to have that money here. So I don't know, I don't foresee us pulling from everything else to make it up to 16.
Yeah, the only
Right.
difference would be that the 200 that Sally said we could use, right, for a secondary cures grant if we get one, then that would be a discussion at that time, I would think.
Another thing that we need to consider is that we use $200,000 from our it's a GO bond fund in the bank, but that's O&M funds. We need to have that in the bank for our bank agreement, which could be that could be part of that 400,000, but that is an obligation that we have. what?
And then we'll have to go back and look too and see. I don't remember. I remember we talked about it, but I don't remember if we specifically put that 20,000 for back taxes in the budget already, or if that's just something we wrote down going, hey, let's make sure we look at this. Because I don't think
Honestly, is there anything in community development, Sally? I thought that's where we ended up. I thought we ended up saying this, we'll just use that in the community development fund, because it kind of makes sense that it would be in community development.
I remember talking about it for sure.
Yeah,
And
I do too. I can't even find that version of my budget. Sorry. I hate remote working now.
It
Yeah,
is like camping.
I don't know if we've ever officially voted on that's what we're going to do either.
See, I heard you guys mention it, but it's never been outside of executive as far as I know. It was not considered in the 2021 community development budget.
Okay. Well, that's okay. Like I said, we can put it right here. I mean, we're not spending anything yet, and we'll see where it goes for planning purposes.
You know what? I took that fund balance from the cash flow report, but I did not add in the GeoBond fund. So we have an additional 100,000 there that we can take.
Oh, okay.
Because we have to have 200. We have to have 200, but for that bank purpose, but there's an additional 103 in there that we could use. So glad I talked that out.
So now we're looking at easily 15, maybe 15.5 if the 400,000 is enough. Am I stating that correct?
Put anything in 2021 for that, the tax thing? I mean, I know it was an executive session, so we didn't want to say too much, but I thought, and I'm looking at, I think I found. Oh no, this is November. No, this is right.
Oh, there it is. I couldn't find where I put my.
Oh, and by
My
the
budget.
way, I was reading the board minutes from last board meeting for today, and in it, in finance, it said we budgeted 40,000 for a full 4th of July festival, but we didn't.
No,
We had discussed, we asked, and that was brought up the last meeting. The last finance meeting, we had talked about that. We had discussed, we asked the opinion of if we were going to put money in, what would the number be? What would the suggested number be?
well, and I remember Don saying, if you're gonna do that, you're gonna need 40,000. But it's way
Correct.
more than 40,000 when we do that, so.
Then I guess we technically should correct the minutes in the meeting tonight then, because I'm pretty sure, I'll double check if I have time between this meeting and that, but I'm pretty sure it said under finance that we were gonna budget 40,000.
It was in our minutes last time, and I questioned it it was in the board minutes from last time because I missed that board meeting, and I was like, well, what the heck are we doing? I missed one meeting, and now we're
$40,000
completely funding a 4th of July festival. So,
See, Lori, you gotta be there.
I know. I think we do.
Who
have
knows
to
what we'll
correct
do
those
next?
minutes tonight, so that they will reflect accurately that we did not vote on that.
All right.
But we did budget 15 for fireworks potentially. So I don't know why I was thinking we did something on the other, but that's going to be something we're going to want to leave money for sure. But that wouldn't be O&M money. That'd be general fund money, right? For something like
Community
that.
development for the fireworks.
Oh, for
No,
purchase of property, basically.
Oh, that would be community development. And they actually, maybe we did talk about this, but I don't think you guys gave me any definitive numbers. Because we were saying that community development line item, which is 17,47701, would be where we would put that.
Okay. And I don't think 10's gonna cover it,
Right.
which is what we have in there. Okay.
Yeah. So for the
So we do have
sake
some
of,
Wednesday work in front of us.
yes, yes. So for the sake of this meeting, to get us prepared for the next one, I'm gonna recommend that we stop talking 2021 budget because we're gonna hit that on Wednesday and then knock out the rest of this stuff. Is everybody okay with that?
Go for it.
Okay.
Yes.
Number 7 here is iDrop and water bill delinquency. That was emailed out today. I think it was on that one that had everything. So at 3:47, yes, it's called aging report. And it's yelling at me because I have it open already. Don't say.
Sally, have you gotten any
Here we
feedback
go.
from anyone on late fees or anything? Has the village heard anything that you're aware of?
I'm not aware of any complaints. Kelly put this together last week and she put it on our shared drive and I forgot all about it, guys. So it's not her fault. It was me getting this to you late, but I reviewed it because you have to kind of just stare at it for a minute to figure out what you're looking at. But it looks like the one with the red ink on the side, those are all the active accounts and what their balances are, and from current to past due. And I don't know, that's pretty high, 8,500. The other sheet are finalized accounts that we're just always going to try to collect, but that one's about 2,500. I know that one of those, so is that number in this number?
I think the 11,146 is the two of them combined.
Okay.
Mhm.
So 1,600 of that is a lien, and I don't know what the status of that is. We have to wait for the house to sell to get that money, I think, unless someone re-ups.
So right now we can't turn off waters anyway. So really all we're doing is just kind of tracking and hoping the list doesn't get bigger.
Right.
Okay. Now I do see
we can
here
still-
on
We
on
can still
Love
put liens
Will.
on.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
And that's where I was looking at here. It says property sold on November 13th, and we were not notified. So did we? I assume there was no lien on the house then.
No, well, we have the new ordinance where the title companies are supposed to contact us and ask for a final bill. And I guess this is the result of what happens when they don't. So we'll have to keep trying to pursue that payment from the person. I don't remember what the threshold is for doing a lien.
Yeah, I think it was a certain dollar amount because there's a cost to put the lien on. So if you're not gonna put a lien to collect $120, it's probably gonna cost us more because don't we have to have Mary's help on that?
Yes.
So there is some guidelines, but I can't recall what it is exactly either.
So I know that Kelly goes through, she writes letters, and I think she does make some phone calls. That process, her and I would like to sit down and do review the policy and try to figure out if it's, needs to be modernized or changed. But I think we are just kind of just tracking it for now because we really aren't a big threat if we can't shut them off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I like the way you're talking. Modernize. Modernize.
And
All right.
it's funny because I've been here so long. It's like, didn't we just do that? And then most of these policies were redone in like 2010. And it just seems like we just did it.
All right. And any more discussion on the iDrop? No. All right. Bank reconciliation. We got July and August. Those are both located on that. I thought they were. Yes, on that 347 document. Sally, this is awesome, by the way. But putting everything together in one email, it is so easy to gather everything. So thank you so much.
Okay, good. Well, we'll probably come up with a good method right about the time we don't have to do it anymore.
That's the way it always. All right. So
you
looking at
found the
July.
missing
Here,
line.
I'm still, these reconciliations, it's so far out that, it's the best I can do. There are some things that I think are going to have to be written off just because from what I can tell, they have to be some sort of recording error because everything that I'm looking at the bank seems right. So, I'll talk to Mark Olson about that, about the best way to do that. But
What are you referring to? I didn't see anything that was off.
there is a line called to balance. And these numbers, the 2985 and 4230 and 100, they've been there for several months. And
What report are you looking at, Sally? Sorry.
I'm sorry,
July.
I'm looking at July right now.
Thank you.
Those amounts are recurring, and it shows a shortfall, and I just simply can't find it. I think they're within our ability to write off and get a fresh start, but I'm going to try to get to the end of the year before we make any adjustments like that. And now that the budget is almost done and the CURE grant is done, I'm really excited to focus on this and try to bang these out.
Yeah, it'd be good to get caught up for sure.
Mm-hmm. Good. Yeah. I was just discussing about that. It's exciting here to get to the holidays so you can catch up on everything that you've
Yeah.
put it off to the side. All right. How about August here?
Do you have any questions?
I see those 3 payments again for the 2 balance. Those are the same ones there.
Most of the things that take all the time and create the problem are either the transferring of credit card payments, which was resolved in June and July for the most part, but also just the payments that because they have that 4-day period where they're basically in cyberspace, that affects the reconciliation too. So I would say that's probably the biggest problem I have on the reconciliation.
Julie, do you see any issues?
No.
No.
Okay. Lori? No? Okay. Sounds good. Moving on to the credit card review. Again, same email there. I didn't see anything that looked out of the ordinary. I was kind of curious what a flexible badge is. I assume it's not metal, so that way it moves with the body, but.
I was wondering about that too. Nick's not at this meeting, but maybe we can just ask him. I'm sorry I didn't have the actual invoice. I was working from home and I didn't bring it, so I didn't have it on my person, but I can get that to you guys if you want to see the actual invoice too.
Now, no, I mean, I'm fine with it, but if you have it, then sure, absolutely.
Okay.
My
I know.
question about this has
go
been brought
ahead.
up before. So we pay for the uniforms for police. We pay for their boots, then their holsters, to get the patches sewn on a uniform dent, all that great stuff. Do we provide the same types of services for the front office and for the public works? Is there any type of clothing allowance? Because public works, I'm sure they destroy their clothes all the time as well. And just
Every now and then, I'll see that the Public Works has like maybe a logo shirt or something, but they don't submit any requests for boots, coats, or anything like that. And the same in the front office. It's been many years now, but in past years, we've gotten shirts with logos because it's nice when you go to a conference to have, you know, your village shirt, but there typically isn't a budget for that for anyone other than police.
It's something to look into about a clothing allowance per se, and they can do with it as they choose. Just something to think about in general, not necessarily right now. And so now if the front office wants to get new shirts, or if police want to use it for their boots, you know. But
And I think too, maybe part of the difference is, you know, the police officers, there's a dress code per se, whereas we don't, you know what I mean? We don't tell Sally she has to wear khaki pants and a polo shirt, you know, or whatever.
Right.
all right.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to, you know, some kind of allowance for logo wear. I do have a question. I don't have a problem with any of these charges. Just a question in general. When I see things like boxes and 3-ring binders and colored paper, like, are we still, is the goal still to try to get rid of some paper? Because when I see stuff like this, I'm like, oh, all I see is just paper, just you know. And so I'm just curious, you know, is this just for, you know, older documents, you know, that haven't been made electronic, or?
Well, some of the colored paper is for the permitting process. None of our inspectors are willing to go electric. Some things I'm required to have paper copies of, and I know that certain things, I mean, we have to keep forever some things, but I have to, I'm not the one that uses all this, but
I know. I'm just asking the question. I just want to make sure we're still, you know, and I realize it's not an overnight process. I just want to make sure we're heading in the right direction with, you know, things that we are able to, you know, have electronic, that we're doing that. You know, when I hear we have to retain things forever, I would much rather have an electronic copy in the cloud than a paper copy that can burn up in a fire. So it's just a different method of thinking. I think different people think differently, and I just want, like I said, want to make sure we're heading in the right direction. Because unlike Julie, I don't ever want to see a piece of paper for these committee meetings again. I like that it's all electronic and it's all stored in one spot, and I don't have to try to find it. So
I'm older than you, Lori.
Well, I guess one thing to say there is welcome to government. There has been an ongoing debate about that, not just in our village, you know, throughout, because, you know, some some programs just become obsolete, and then there's a cost to re-up everything. And some municipalities, obviously bigger ones than us, have gone with like microfiche. And so it's just a constant question. I know the clerks talk about it all the time, the clerks in Illinois, you know, what do you do? We have to have paper copies of all of the agendas, all of the minutes, all of the audits. It is statutorily required that we keep those forever.
And are those all kept like in fire safe filing cabinets?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's why it's so cozy in our office, because
Okay. And
we're
I
just-
don't, like I said, I don't have a problem with the charges. It's just like, you know, I think it was seeing multiple things on one credit card statement. I'm like, oh, you know, I just see piles of paper and your office getting cozier and cozier. So that's why I asked.
No, and we do have, well, right now they're filling the closet in the boardroom. When Joy was there, our offsite storage closed and we had to have a quick bring it all back type thing. Kelly and I keep putting off this date on our calendar to go through what's in there. We've found another offsite place, and I negotiated a good price, and COVID hit. So I would like to get all of those boxes out of that closet. I think in the normal times when we have people coming in for board meetings, I really don't think it behooves us to have financials and, you know, personnel files and things in there. So that is something that's constant. And we do have, even things that are on, like the financials are on a 7-year destruction trajectory. We still have to have someone from the state come and approve before we can destroy. That's how strict it is. Oh, I know, TMI.
No, it's fine. No, I appreciate the background. So yeah, I just, like I said, it just triggered in my brain. So I just wanted to ask. So you don't know if you don't ask. So thank you.
And by
You're
and large,
welcome.
just for the record, Lori, I do support going more electronic. It's just when it comes to big spreadsheets and numbers like the budget, I want my paper. It's so much easier to absorb in my brain anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Number 10, office staffing updates. Anything new, Sally?
Yes, we are bringing in our second temp on January 4th.
Oh,
And that's a lady that lives in the village. Kelly just emailed today, and she's excited to come and start on that day. So I wasn't sure if she was going to accept or whatever, but so we still have Diane Frew, and she's hanging in there. She's a trooper. She told me that this time when they do the billing, which unfortunately is right there by Christmas and everything, she's going to hands off and let Kelly and our new person, Chris, do the billing, and she's just going to monitor them. So fingers crossed.
very exciting. Now, there was discussion at one point of waiting a while until bringing in the second one. What was the decision to bring her in now? Because she was available, it was a good fit, and we're going to go with it?
That, and I just think we're losing Diane. So Kelly and I talked about it, and I wasn't really sure where we left it, because we sort of discussed, well, should we do this, should we do that? But then It was just like, we better just get this other person in here and get going on this. So
Okay. And for numbers 11 and 12, the annual cash in lieu of gas, it keeps getting brought up. We never actually really discuss it. And then the policy project, which is just an ongoing thing. Do either of those need to be discussed tonight, or should we push them off until our next regular finance meeting? Does anyone have any issues with that?
We're waiting to hear from NIGAS still, right, Sally?
yeah, they have not returned my email. I think I identified the trick and now they just don't want to deal with me. I'll put on my board to contact them again. And I have on my board to talk to Chad and Jeff about spending limits for us to update that policy. I just want to know what they think it should be. Jeff might be fine with what it is now, but I know Chad is not happy, so I'll ask them what they want to do.
Sounds good. Any new business? Nope. All right. There's no need for executive session. As we discussed, our next meeting is Wednesday, December 16th at 5:30, and we will pick up the budget from there.
Sounds good.
All right.
See you in 20
Can I have a
minutes.
motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll second.
All right. Julie made the motion and Lori seconded. All in favor? Oh no, I lied. Has to be roll call. Julie,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
and Jeremy says yes as well. All right. It is 6:40 on Monday, December 14th, and that is the end of the meeting. All right. Take care, guys. I'll see you in a couple minutes.
Bye.
Yes,
Thanks. Bye.
I.
You stop the recording.